I didn't look at the script, by the way.
There is no script.
Excellent.
Well, guess who's back?
Look, we even gave you the big screen.
I know. Oh, thanks so much. No, do you know what, lads? It's an absolute pleasure to be back. As most of the viewers will know, I've been off for the last couple of weeks unwell, but I'm back. I'm ready to go, and it's lovely to be on with you, lads.
Welcome back, Chris. I've just one question. What's under the hat? Is that a really bad haircut?
No. Well, I do need a haircut anyway. No, I went the tip earlier, and obviously I've not done my hair today, so I've just had the cap on, and I've just kept it on, and yeah, that is the only reason.
Is it okay?
Don't worry, I haven't shaved my head.
I wouldn't have thought of that. I thought it was possible that you'd been out around the council estate in your Vauxhall Nova, spinning the wheels and doing whatever young fellas do these days in their Vauxhall Nova.
No, nothing untoward, Mart.
Okay, that's good. Thought you might be kind of zooming around with whatever.
There's one woman in the audience
playing out on the stereo.
There's one woman in the audience who's very happy to see you back, Chris.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
my lovely Julie.
Yeah.
All right,
the t-shirt picture was lovely, by the way.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Cheered me up, that. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time to bring out one of our guests. We have two guests tonight. One will join us later on the show. Our first guest, she's kicked every ball. She's covered every blade of grass, even for you. Yeah, and she was host of NUFC Matters in the game against Man City the other night. It's our Holly Blade. Welcome, Holly.
Hi guys, how are you all
doing?
Stephen,
how are you? Good as always.
Okay.
I love that background, by the way, Holly. That's got to be the best background ever.
Courtesy of my mum, she's class at stuff like that. She painted all the stripes on and everything.
It's class.
Is that like a stencil? Like the badge behind, is that like a stencil or?
Yeah,
sticker?
The badge is a stencil, but the stripes are hand painted. I'm pointing all the wrong directions, but
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it, lads and lasses. When I say lads, I mean general. I got got abused for that before.
Yeah.
I say guys, Daz. I always go guys. I always think that's genetic.
I don't care, honestly. Say what you want.
Give that a few more. Give that a few more weeks, and we won't be able to say any of that now. We'll just have to introduce the fluid gender panel.
Okay, I want to start off and talk about the events of the last few days. First of all, something I left out of my list is Steve Bruce getting manager of the month. So we had the manager of the month taking on probably the manager of the year in the game against Man City on Friday night. So the lineup was as follows, and in the past I've brought up pictures of the goals and stuff like that, but there's just too many goals going in. So I'm just going to bring up a picture of the actual result. So this was the result, 4-3 to City. An interesting game, goals flying in everywhere. A goal from Kraft, Joe Linton, and Willock, and a few goals for one goal of the season as well from Man City. So just leave it open. I know Martin and Holly, you were on Matchday Live. We'll go around the house. Richie, do you want to go first? What do you make of the game and your thoughts?
Do you know what I thought? When I was watching the match on Friday night, in the first 25 minutes or so, I thought, God, this is going to be horrible. It just, we didn't look like we were going to get a touch of the ball, but the possession stats were as they normally are, 25% to us and 75% to them. And then obviously we could tell we were just going to have our backs to the wall and we were going to hit them on the break. And obviously we got the corner. And then I think even when Kraft scored the opener, I think everybody, including like the commentators and even the players, were all just in general shock that one, Kraft had scored and two were actually winning. It was just, I don't know, it was just a completely weird feeling. But do you know what? I think it took them a bit of a lucky goal to get equal. I don't even think Cancelo's shot was on target. But I tell you what, for the second goal, I think you've just got to take your hats off to Ferran Torres' flash finish. Why even tried it? But it's just seriously, it's one of the best finishes I think you're going to see all season. Definitely a goal of the season contender. And then obviously we get that. Watching it when we got the penalty, it was, I didn't think it was offside to start with when I was actually watching it live, and then all I remember was Joe Linton going falling down. I thought, you know what? I think he'd fallen down about 2 or 3 times previously in the first half, and I thought, you know what? He's back to his old form here, where he's just where he gets into a promising position, he's fouling out his own feet again or something like that. And it was only when it paused and then they were saying, "Oh, there's a VAR check," that you can see that Ake took his foot out. Do you know what I mean? So I think going in 2-2 at half time, I think it was quite a fair reflection the way the second half of the first half had gone. I think the most frustrating part was when we got the second penalty. I was surprised that Willock was taken. I don't believe this. It's a South American thing, and if this took one penalty, they'll refuse to take another one. I think that's just a whole lot of bullshit, if I'm honest with you. I think I think the run up was a bit stupid. I think it's very, very predictable sort of a penalty when you run up like that. But hats off, he finished off the rebound. I think that what frustrated me most out of all of it is that you're always vulnerable when you go ahead. And literally within 2 minutes, there was level again. And the amount of space that Torres got for his second goal was scandalous. There was about 4 players in a black and white shirt around him. And he just literally had all that time just to toe poke it in. And then I was thinking 3-3, and I was thinking, oh, well, there's only one good thing to come of this. It's like at me prediction non-loaded leaderboards up. But then, sure enough, there we go. It's just that I look at the way the ball bounces sometimes for Newcastle, and it was, it comes back off the post, and the only person it comes to is Torres to get his hat trick. I thought it was a fantastic game to be involved in. I think the only thing as a Newcastle fan is I'm just sick of being on the wrong end of a 4-3 defeat. I would love it to be the other way around for a change, but a fantastic game of football. I loved how we took the ball, the game to Man City. There's times when we played them over previous years where we've had our backs against the wall, and it's been the most awful game to watch for 90 minutes. But I was, when we got the ball in attack, we were actually effective with our attacking play when we got it, and we were breaking and looked dangerous every single time. I know Man City didn't have Diaz and Stones at the back, who, have been an integral part of why they've turned the season around the second half of the season. But you've still got to play the team that's in front of you, and I thought we played them really well, and that's just a shame we couldn't have got something in the game, because I thought we thoroughly deserved something.
Exactly, Rich. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, similar to Rich, I really enjoyed the game. It was a nice change to see us actually just go with a team. Albeit, I do take Rich's point that we weren't playing the strongest Man City team, but let's have it right. Any Man City team's a good team. Even their reserve players or substitute players. They arguably that team that we played could quite easily go and win the league anyway. They've got some fantastic players within their squad. Particular mention to Ferran Torres since he's come in. I haven't really been wowed by him, but I must say his 3 goals were particularly good. I mean, one of the goals where he stabbed it home, I thought that was impressive because when the ball got whipped in, it was whipped in really, really strongly. I think it was by Jesus. So he did well to keep that on target and not balloon it. The improvisation for the scorpion kick, if you can call it that, was just unbelievable. And also, the volley. Quite often those volleys can end up in Rosette, but he kept it down. But the reason I've kind of highlighted those 3 goals is that, I do think they were quite fortunate. And even the Cancelo goal, as you can tell, well, as you know, it took quite a big deflection. And again, that could have gone anywhere. So I'm not too deflated with the results. I mean, I expected to be defeated anyway. But it was just nice to see us have a go. And it further further endorsement for Joe Willock to sign permanently, isn't it? Because he played fantastically well again. You know, it was one of those games where I turned it off and I thought, you know what, we gave it a right good go, and I thought it was particularly poignant that, you know, we've been talking a lot recently about the entertainers. You know, that's been advertised on Sky a lot recently, and then we go and lose 4-3, and it did feel a little bit like that as well, because we were unlucky. I think we deserved something else of the game. I mean, if you score 3 at home to Man City, and then you find out that you've lost, it's quite disappointing, really, isn't it? But
Chris, it would have been a totally different situation if we were still needing points at that stage. We probably would have been draped over the advertising boards, crying at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, we probably would have approached it a lot differently as well. Even though we were quite defensive and we hit them on the counter, you know, there was still that will to go forward and try and cause them problems, because, you know, they had Carson in goal, who I think that was his first appearance for Man City, which is bizarre because he's been there 2 years. So yeah, do you know what? It was an enjoyable game to watch. We don't have many of those where it's free flowing, it's attacking, it's end to end. So I really enjoyed that. And ultimately, you know, the next 2 games are the big ones for us. We've got Sheff United at home and Fulham away. So they're the ones that I'll certainly be hoping that we pick up at least 4 points, if not 6 points. But I do, as I said earlier on the NUFC Masters show with Steve, I do hope that we do use a bit of squad rotation, and we do see a few players who haven't been playing recently. I would like to see a mix up at the lineup. I'd like to see Joe keep his place because I think he deserves it. You know, like Rich said, I don't really believe that South American theory in terms of Joe not wanting that second penalty. I'm pretty confident he would have wanted that penalty, but I think because Joe Willock won and Joe Willock wants to keep up his goal scoring form, I think Joe Linton's probably gone, yeah, you have it. I don't think maybe Joe Linton didn't fancy it, but I don't think it's a South American thing, because I'm pretty sure other South Americans, I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. I can't imagine, you know, like the Brazilian Ronaldo going, oh no, I've took a pen, I don't want another one. I'm pretty sure, Neymar, I'm pretty sure they would quite happily take a second, third, fourth pen if it came about. But, you know, it was nice that Joe gave the penalty to Joe Willock. And he was very fortunate that the keeper spilled it right back in his path, because it wasn't a very good penalty. But he stuck it away, and he's got himself on the score sheet again. So overall, good game. Really enjoyed it. And it was just so nice that it didn't mean anything. And that's been the main thing, because as you rightly say, Daz, if that would have meant something, that would have been painful to take.
Yeah, torture. Cheers, Chris. Holly, we'll go to you next. What's your thoughts on the game? Pretty sick of talking about it at this stage.
Overall, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was a good game. We played good football. It was a bit hard to take that we didn't end up getting anything out of that game, because I do think we deserved at least a point. I did actually predict a win for Newcastle. I was feeling quite confident because we are a bit of a bogey team for Man City. But you can't really complain. It goes back to that old saying of, like, we don't demand a team that wins, we demand a team that tries, and they certainly did in that game. So hats off to them. I liked the football that we played. It was a bit entertainer style football where they score one, we try and score one back. Unfortunately, that didn't work in our favour. But I don't think the stats actually reflected the game, because I think we got less than 20% possession, which isn't how we really played. I think we played pretty well. And it was free-flowing football. It was different to how we normally play, and it was nice to see. I think we've been calling for it all season, where we just go for it. We didn't need anything from that game. We were already mathematically safe. And so the next 2 games are probably more important, in games that you target more. But that game, yeah, it was enjoyable. It was a few players that scored that you didn't expect. Obviously, Emil Kraft scored the opener, which he's been slated every week, and fair play to him, you know, like, he did well. That was a pretty good goal from Kraft. And then Joe Linton took that penalty. Joe Linton took the penalty, and I think everyone on the panel on Matchday Live was like, oh my God, what is he doing? Why is Joe Linton taking the pen? We're like, he's definitely going to miss this. But actually, it was a really, really good penalty.
Yeah, it was a great penalty. It was.
Fair play to him. There's definitely some power in that shot. And then Joe Willock took the second pen. Yet again, really, really, I mean, yes, he missed it at first, but he did great to still end up getting a goal out of that. 5-5 for Joe Willock now. If we don't end up signing him, I think we're just really, really stupid, to be honest. I'd be doing everything to get Joe Willock in the summer. But yeah, overall, really good game. And hopefully now we can get some points out of Sheffield United and Fulham.
Exactly, Holly. Cheers. Martin, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was like Holly. The 2 of us were on Matchday Live, so it was it was nice not to be under any kind of pressure or worrying about the result. I think obviously when we scored first, it's probably the first time we've scored that I haven't actually knocked a drink over. So that was a result in itself. Oh, jeez. Barca women are stitching up Chelsea women 2-0. Anybody that is interested in the football, Barcelona women, Chelsea women in the Champions League women final, and Barca are 2 up. I think there's only about 15, 16 minutes on that, isn't it? Kickoff was 8 o'clock.
Yeah, 14 minutes in, mate. 14 minutes in, and yeah, Barca women are taking it to Chelsea. So yeah, it's 2-0. I'll just tell you quickly who scored.
It was a one goal, the first one, in the first minute. But
it was, yeah. Neve Charles was the own goal to put Barca 1-0 up, and funnily enough, it was a penalty from Alexia Putellas. So we had 2-0 up, 15 minutes gone, and just so you all know as well, there's a Premier League game going on at Goodison Park tonight, and Everton are currently losing 1-0 to the already relegated Sheffield United.
Cheers, Chris. And it's kind of all falling apart for Chelsea with losing I know this is the ladies' team, but losing the FA Cup to Leicester yesterday, and Champions League final coming up as well.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, could finish the season.
Into the downer. Yeah,
exactly. But the game itself was good. I enjoyed it. I think, look, we took the lead. I think I take Chris's point. It's, I think if we could have defended better, I think our concentration just goes to shit. Once we score, we're not focused. That focus kind of drains away. And Manchester City were, at a stage, they would just run rings around us in the midfield again. So, we don't have that strength to be able to tackle and a bit of bite. In fairness, Shelby did a lot of running. He was unlucky. He was unlucky not to score. To be fair to him, he hit the bar. I thought Joe Linton, second half of this season, to be fair, I'm going to give Joe Linton a bit of credit. I think he's played okay. Second half of the season, I think he was unfortunate to get dropped, albeit, okay, he brought Willock and that back in. I kind of think you have to start Willock. He's been our form player, I would say, along with Callum Wilson for the last probably 8-9 games. Obviously, slight worry when we kicked off because obviously Wilson was out, so you're wondering where the goals were going to come from. Obviously, Kraft, the most unlikely of scorers. The penalty from Joe Linton was a corker, keeper nowhere near it. And then the second one, Willock was lucky. I thought when he did get the rebound, I thought when he stumbled going towards it, I thought, oh God, he's going to go over here and it's going to scud out to a corner or something. But he put it away. I think if we could have. I think probably the last 20 minutes when City were passing it around, I thought we looked really tired. The energy had gone. We looked very leggy. So, hopefully a few days rest, and then Sheffield United on Wednesday night. You'd expect us to go and beat Sheffield United, but then again, it would be just NUFC to have Sheffield do the double over us. So you wouldn't know which team is going to turn up. But if they go and play like we know that we can, like we did against Leicester, like we did against City, without the worry, then you'd expect us to pick up 6 points against, Sheffield and Fulham. It was an enjoyable game. But as I said, probably the key piece for me, I thought Murphy did extremely well against Sterling down that left-hand side. I thought he did a really good job keeping Sterling quiet to a point that if anybody didn't notice, going into the second half, Pep actually switched him and switched him round because he wasn't getting any joy from Murphy. So I thought Murphy did particularly well. I thought Richie was fantastic yet again. Showed us the leader that we are missing between him and Shelby and Lascelles. So I thought Richie did really well. But credit for the second half of the season for me, I think Joe Linton has done really, really well. Look, we know he's never going to bring you 30 goals or be a 20 goal a season, man. But he played his part. He seems to be getting stronger. He holds the ball up really, really well for me. And I think when you've got the likes of Wilson, you've got ASM, you've got Willock dropping off, you kind of need that. So, is he going to be a 20 goal man? No, he's not. But he'll get you, if he gets you 8 or 9 goals over the season, the same as a Chris Woods, a Burnley, but you can put him in there. Only thing for me, only criticism with Joe Linton is when he's fighting aerially for a ball in amongst a packed defense. I'd just like to see him just be a little bit stronger. I think he gets knocked over quite easy, but like he's a big lad, so I'd like to see a bit of I'd like to see a little bit of muscle put on him, maybe, because he's got the height. You know, he's got good touch when he's focused. I think he can be a little bit of a lightweight at times, gets brushed away easy. Where I'd like to see him kind of get stuck in. But yeah, overall, it was a really good game. It was nice to enjoy the weekend and go into the weekend without it being ruined. So yeah, it was perfect. Yeah.
And only another week to go in the season. Okay, I'm going to touch on some of the questions that come up from the chat just as well while we have them fresh. Yeah, one from Tom. Question: who do you expect to get relegated from the Premier League next season? I think we'll be there or thereabouts unless our takeover goes through. And I guess that the teams coming up are going to also be thereabouts. Whoever comes through that playoff, and Norwich, and who's the other one that come up? Who's automatically as well? Watford, yeah. So they'll be in the mix. And then question from Dave Harrison as well. Yeah, it's always just us that gets the abuse or the media attention when it comes to things about Saudi Arabia and everything like that. So yeah, the announcement of the fight.
Yeah, well, I've heard Khashoggi's widow is actually the ring girl. So that's why she got free tickets, so she's not kicking off about that fight.
Shout out from Chris A as well to you, Chris H. Okay, let's go to. I'm going to give you the next three topics together. I kind of separate them, but I'm going to give them together. One, we already know this, and it's obviously when I'm not playing on against the City game with Wilson being out for the season now. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is ASM being linked to Roma to link up with Jose. Can't see it happening either, and it can command some fee. But yeah, if we did happen to sell him, we'd never get the value that we need to replace him and strengthen the squad. And the other topic I want to add into the mix is the three. Is Joe Willock. His price has been set, if you believe what you hear in the papers, that's between 25 to 30 million. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about 20 million, and we were saying, well, would we pay that? I think we definitely pay the 20 million now, in my opinion. But 25, 30 million, it's gone the way of Kennedy. That his price always seems to increase. And his second loan spell wasn't that great for us. So we go around the house again. Rich, take any of them in any particular order you want.
I think with ASM, I cannot see him going to play for Jose Mourinho at Roma. I can't see the match there at all. I know that there's quite a bit of defensive work that Jose Mourinho likes to set up and stuff like that, and he's ideal for the counter and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I don't think he's as hard working as Mourinho likes from his players, and I don't think he'd have the time for him, to be honest with you. So I think that's a complete non-starter. Plus, as you mentioned, Dad, I think you'd need to have the fee that would need to get for him to replace him, and be able to replace him to his standard as well, would be astronomical. Even with the COVID times. Regards to Callum Wilson, I think we'll miss him. I think we saw how important he was against Leicester. Leicester have had a phenomenal week, beating Man United during the week, and then obviously doing one on Chelsea yesterday in the final, which I thought I watched the game. I thought it was quite a bit of a dull affair really for an FA Cup final, but it was highlighted by two classic FA Cup final moments with Tielemans' winner. And then Schmeichel's save in just about 5 minutes to go from Mason Mount. I just thought it was a hell of a save. But it was, it shows how good we were the week before when we went down there and we did a job on them. I know we collapsed the last 10 minutes and tired and stuff like that, but that first 80 minutes, we were one of the best performances I've seen in a long, long time. It was a pleasure to watch, and it shows how much Callum Wilson means to us. I think that's one of the reasons he was brought back to get us safe. I don't know whether he's necessarily done his hamstring or whether it's a precaution to give him a bit more rest now we are safe.
It's the opposite hamstring. It's not the one he injured, Rich. It's the other leg. Yeah.
Does it? I didn't know that. Obviously, I've had
no opposite leg, mate.
No way, I'm lucky. But no, it's. I think it's luckily we've been we're safe from it and stuff like that. So it's just getting rested up now, and I think that was promising with everyone else that came in. As Martin said, Joe Linton had a good game on Saturday, and then the second half of the season has been. I don't think anybody would have predicted what we've seen from the previous 18 months from that we would have seen in the second half of the season. Regards Joe Willock, I think we've said on numerous times on Matchday Live that his price was going up week on week. 20 million. I think a few people were like going, 20 million. Yeah, he's really improving the Premier League, but 20 million, that's an absolute snip.
Yeah.
For the potential.
If only they could have, Richie. If only if they could have wrote that into the contract, in the loan contract of.
You know what? It's
fee
not
agreed.
like Newcastle. It's not like Newcastle not to put a clause in, like to buy option to buy. It's one of the first times that they've done it. I think one of the reasons was they literally because of the COVID times, because obviously didn't know what league they were going to be in and stuff like that. And obviously, if you've got the option to buy at 20 million, you get relegated. I know that we probably wouldn't have come to us anyway, but it's it's that option, isn't it? But 20 million now, you'd snap your hands off. And I think there was a nice, quite a fitting point. I was on the radio on Sky the other day that if Willock was playing at Arsenal now and had been doing exactly what he'd been doing for Newcastle at Arsenal, they'd have been ranting and raving for a late last-minute call-up to the England squad. But because he's at Newcastle, you're not hearing much about it, which is scandalous. I know that everyone's saying that Emile Smith-Rowe's been a fantastic addition from the youth team for Arsenal this season. And he has. I agree with that. But if it was Willock at Arsenal, everybody would be ranting and raving about for England. But it's just scandalous that that Newcastle aren't looked at like that anymore. That we can have talent at our club as well, and we can be a good place for English talents to play and improve their game, which Joe Willock's has mentioned this. He's done since he's coming on his loan.
I think the problem with midfielders, Richie, is England have got a surplus to requirement. You look at the likes of Mount, you look at Grealish, you look at Sterling. Sterling can play as a wing, he can play as a through player, he can play as a 10, play as a striker. You got Mason Mount, and they're talking up Smith Rowe. So I think I can't see Willock getting in there anyway. I think the other thing with not getting a hold of Willock is the papers today, Willian's leaving, as is David Luiz. So if Willian's going from Arsenal, you can see the Smith Rowe is going to be certainly included more often, but it does leave that door open for Willock to come back in and play on the opposite side.
With Willian going though, I think that just it sets about that they're going to probably put back in more of his natural position as a left winger rather than bringing Willian in, because I think if you look at that left hand side, if that's what they do with Saka, Tierney and Saka on that left hand side is it's a great left hand side. I think we would love those two at Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what's going to happen with Arsenal. To be fair.
Yeah. Cool. Cheers, Rich. Chris, we'll go to you. Any of the three?
Yeah. So I'll just touch briefly on all three, but I won't spend long because I know we've got Keith waiting there in the background. So in terms of St. Maximin, no, I don't see St. Maximin going to Roma. I know Jose has said in the past that he's a fan of him. But yeah, I don't see him going to Serie A either. I think we keep hold of him, and especially with the takeover in the offing, I think he's probably just going to sit tight. Even if the takeover doesn't happen, while it's still, while there's still discussions around it, I think he digs in there. Especially, I think he's got a 6-year contract, hasn't he? So I think Saint stays. And it'd have to be a hell of a lot more than 40 million if we were to sell him, in my opinion. I certainly wouldn't be selling for that amount. In terms of Callum Wilson, I just wanted to add on Callum Wilson. I just love his celebration. Every time I see that, I just love it. Every time he scores and he just goes like that, just love it. It reminds me of Rafa with the glasses. When he put his glasses in the pocket, just love it. So yeah, Wilson's so important to us. Takeover or no takeover. Oh, there we go.
I have it, Chris. I always keep it on the hand.
I just love it. Wilson takeover or not has to stay. he's been a revelation since he come in, and I can't believe we got him for 20 million. It's an absolute steal. I know he's 29 years of age, but he's still got another 2, 3, 4 maybe good years in him. So we're really lucky to have him. He's probably the best striker we've had since Cisse and Bar. He's that important to us, and we look a completely different team when he's in the team, so that's great. In terms of Joe Willock, if he was offered to us now for 20 million, I think we'd all snap that up. Sadly, I don't think it will be 20 million. He's only 21 years of age. He's only going to get better. He's English, so that automatically knocks the premium up. As Rich said, I think it was interesting that there wasn't a clause, whether that's down to COVID, as Rich said, or whether it's Arsenal's reluctance to sell him. I don't know. It's interesting, but on the final points that Richie made, about Willian, I didn't realise. We should just keep that on. It's better than looking at me anyway. In terms of Willian, I didn't realise Willian was going. I think Arsenal will be lucky to get rid of him because I think he's on a pretty good wage as well. But if he does go, I could definitely see Willian going to Roma because I know Jose loved Willian. And maybe because it's a slightly slower league, it might suit him better because I think he's lost that little bit of pace. So in terms of him being a right winger, his days in the Premier League are probably numbers, and I think that's became relevant this season. I think now having legs, especially in that position, is vitally important. So yeah, I could definitely see Willian going to Serie A with Roma, but yeah, I don't see Saint going anywhere, and I think he's hanging on in there. I'll tell you what is a concern though, and one thing I'd like to bring up for maybe Holly or Martin to discuss, and I said this way back when we were being linked with Poch or Rafa. My biggest concern, and maybe some of you won't think it's a concern, but I don't think Saint lasts very long in a Rafa Benitez Newcastle United, because I don't think he will put up with Saint's temperament and the fact that I don't think, albeit he does track back, I'm not saying he doesn't, but I get the impression he's not one to be led by instruction, and that's why Christian Atsu ended up in the team under Rafa, because he did exactly what Rafa wanted him to do. So sadly, I don't think that's a relationship that will go forward and blossom. I think it could be abruptly ended. Maybe Rafa would use the ASM money elsewhere, so I'd be interested to see what Holly and Martin thought of that as well.
Holly, we'll go to you next. Any of the three?
I'll start with St. Maximin and Chris's point. I think that he's right, to be honest. I don't think St. Maximin would do well under Rafa Benitez, simply because he's not a Rafa Benitez style of player, and that's just the way it is, really. It's not anything to do with St. Maximin. It's just he's not the type of player that Rafa Benitez would ever sign. I can't imagine him coming into the club a couple of years ago when Rafa was here. I don't think he's particularly got a bad temperament. I think he does respect the manager, and I think he is quite a disciplined player. But if he does want to do something, like when you see him do his little tricks and stuff, under Rafa, he just wouldn't be having that. He would be shouting, he would be on his case straight away, and he just doesn't suit his kind of really disciplined, 5 at the back, rigid style of football at all, which, that is a shame. And if Rafa was to come, I think that I would be pretty gutted that he would leave the side. But yeah, I think that's a great point from Chris. I don't think he would have a future, but 40 million to Roma, I don't think it'll happen. If we sold him for 40 million, I think would be daft, to be honest, because I think he'd be a steal for that price. Yeah, it would be absolutely mental. And in a few years, I think we could probably over double that price on him if he keeps improving at the rate he is at the moment. I do think, though, if the takeover doesn't go through, he will get sold, but not to Roma. I think he'll probably go to another Premier League team, probably that plays in the Champions League, because he is good enough to play for pretty much any Premier League team right now, I think. And he's still got age on his side as well, so he's got a long way to improve. Also, Callum Wilson, I can't praise him highly enough. 12 goals in that team is a massive, massive achievement. I think even the elite strikers, the likes of your Harry Kanes, would struggle to do that in that Newcastle side, because you simply don't get the service and the assists. He's very isolated a lot of the time. To get 12 goals in that side is like an achievement that you can't even really explain how good of an achievement that is, especially with his injuries. I feel so bad for him. He's been very, very unlucky. He's had the injuries constantly. A bit like an Alan Shearer situation. He didn't have good luck with injuries, and also he joined when the fans weren't here. And could you imagine how much praise and positivity he would have got from that crowd? Because like he reminds me a bit of Salomon Rondon. I know he was only on loan, but he constantly got praised throughout the whole season. Like the fans loved him, and Callum Wilson would get 5 times that amount of praise, I think. And finally, Joe Willock. 20 million a few weeks ago, people were saying they're not sure if they take the risk. It could be a Kennedy situation where he has one good season, he's poor the next. I constantly said I'd sign him for that. Now a lot more fans want to take the option now that he's got 5 and 5. But I'm not surprised that the prices went up, to be honest. We could see that was going to happen. I think we should have sorted the deal out a few weeks ago. We didn't. I think the reason why there's not a clause in the contract is because Arsenal didn't want to sell him. They purely just want him to go to Newcastle to get some more experience, to be part of their future. And I think certainly Arteta will want him to stay at Arsenal now, but I'd love to see him come in the summer, and I would pay 30 million, to be honest, because I think with his age, he's got so much potential.
Cheers, Sally. And just before we go to you, Martin, I just wanted to say something about ASM. Here, I'll bring him up again. What I want to say is, what happened to his mate? Remember his mate that came with there during the season, and
had the trial.
ASM but he got signed a contract. Well, we haven't heard anything about him since. So yeah, just so that I had to look up the name. I couldn't even remember his name.
He's just sitting in the reserves.
Yeah,
for the under 23s. All that gather.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be doing much there, so because there's no talk on him at all. Martin, we'll go to you. Who would you like to talk about first?
I'd probably go against the grain. I think if we don't get the takeover, I think ASM gets sold, but I wouldn't be taking any less than probably 60 as he currently stands. I think if he does another couple of years and he can, improve on maybe some of his final ball and, not so much of the trickery, just put the trickery in where it's going to achieve something. I think Chris is, absolutely bang on in a Rafa team. I don't think ASM gets a look in, and I could see Rafa, if he does come back, if the takeover happens, I don't think he would be the kind of player Rafa would build his team around, because I don't think he's, Rafa's not into these mercurial players who drift in, drift out, might head back to France for whatever reason and, not come back on time and so on. I think on Willock, I said this the other day, I think I said it on match day, we're never going to sign him. So let's stop dreaming. 2 reasons. One, takeover still hasn't happened. Secondly, Ashley's got no money. So in the current status, we're never going to spend. So I think even despite not having a clause, I think Arteta would be mental to let him go. That would be my view. Would I love to have him? Absolutely. I think he's the box-to-box player we're missing. If we can't keep him for another season on loan, which is what I would try to do, I would be looking to go and get your man Conor Gallagher from who's on loan from Chelsea to West Brom, because I think I think Gallagher is probably more the box to box or that midfield terrier that we don't have at the minute. Whereas I think you could use Willock. You could put Willock in that striker's role. To be fair, he knows how to finish. He's got that bit of pace. The goal against Leicester, when he put Sunshine on his backside, he was so alive to the situation, and that's a big difference between, say, Willock and Joe Linton at the minute. Like, Joe Linton probably wouldn't have been alive to that situation, whereas Willock did. I think on Callum Wilson, I think we need somebody to go with him. We need another striker to go with him. I think Holly makes an absolute proper point there, which is to score 12 goals that he has done in a team that has struggled all season long and doesn't create loads of chances. I think he's been outstanding. Hot Fuzz.
Have you seen that? You do like the character in Hot Fuzz. All based around that supermarket. Great film.
I told you, he's been spinning it around the estates in Birkenhead in his Vauxhall Nova.
Everyone always targets me, don't they?
Big exhaust popping. He's one of those ones where you dip the clutch and it's got the little hiss, isn't it? It's a little boy racer he is, him and his son out in the car. So I think, we need somebody else to go alongside Wilson. I keep shouting it out. I know probably you wouldn't get him, but I'd love to see Chris Wood from Burnley up front with him. I think they could be an amazing partnership. Who else is out there? I don't know 100%, but I think you need someone. If again, on loan purpose, if he's not going to get the games with Tuchel, I'd love to have another go for Tammy Abraham. I think him and Wilson will be a quality pairing. You might get him on loan. I just think certainly come August, if the takeover is still chit-chatting and we're no further forward, I think it's only going to be loans, because Ashley is not going to spend until this takeover is either fully off and he sells out to someone else, or it's on and he's gone. So I don't expect there to be massive. I can't even see him spending 20 quid, let alone 20 million. So I just don't think he's going to spend money until this takeover is resolved. That's my point. But yeah, I think we need somebody else. I think the interesting thing, and I said this on match day, well, I think I said it on Loaded Mag the other week. The problem with Newcastle with the injuries, right? Callum Wilson done his hamstring, came back, got us the goals, kept us in the league. Now he's done the other hamstring. Other than the seasons we had under Rafa Benitez, where he got to grips with the NUFC medical team, right through every manager we've had other than Benitez, we have suffered with soft tissue injuries, hamstrings, recovery, and lost recovery with all the players that we've had out ongoing. We had it with Pardew, we had it with Fat Sam, we've had it with Bruce, we had it with McLaren. There's an issue at Newcastle with the medical staff and with the medical team, and if a manager is not on top of it, and by way of a good example, I would use, if you haven't watched the Spurs documentary where Mourinho was there, all or nothing, whatever it's called, all to dare or whatever. Mourinho is with his medical team every day, asking every question and on top of them. And I can only imagine that Benitez was the same way, because our recovery and our fitness was way better when Benitez was manager of the team. We weren't sitting here talking about players being out for long terms because we weren't having the same soft tissue and muscle injuries. Now they're back again, which says to me either the training regime is not right or the fitness and recovery after injury is not being dealt with properly. So that remains an issue for me under the current remit.
I think it's quite telling that, though, Martin. I think it goes off what Jack Wheeler said about Steve Bruce as a manager, though, didn't he? He was very old school, higher ball in, do a lot of running and stuff like that, which isn't going to be great for muscle injuries. Do you know what I mean? And
no, it's the recovery, Rich. You can have 5 injuries over a season. Anybody that's played football, you get injured, right? Any one of us that's played, at any format level, even 5 aside, right? You can injure yourself and tweak your hammy, or you can pull up with a tight calf. But it's that recovery afterwards, and it's how you're dealt with and how you're managed, and what training regime you're put back to get you back onto the pitch, and the time scale around that. And I don't think, as a club, we ask, certainly Bruce doesn't, and managers prior to him, Bar and Rafa, we do not ask enough of that medical team at NUFC, and they've been poor for a long, long, long time.
And I think the biggest shock, actually, Martin, is the fact that they got so good under Rafa. Why did you not just continue it? If it was proven, why change it again and allow? Because
it's like anything, isn't it? If you've got a boss, like Chris has got, who's makes him stay online till midnight every night. If you've got someone that's watching you, you'll improve. If you've got somebody that's questioning you or saying to you, right, what did you do today? How many times did you log on? What time did you do whatever? You yourself, you get on point, you get on guard, because Jesus Christ, this lad's going to ask me. I'm not going to get caught by the short and curlies. Same with the medical team. But if nobody's posing those questions and going, why is the feckin' list so long of injured players with hammies? Yeah. Why have I got 6 players out with calf strains? Something's not right here. And Rafa dug into that, and it was one of the first things I remember him talking about at some of the presses. And when they did the interviews with him towards the end of the season, he said that the medical team was in disarray when he went to NUFC. So I can only imagine if the likes of Bruce isn't sitting there every day with them going, what's going on here? We're back to where we were. And I think we're seeing that now with those injuries. Why is Wilson injured again?
Yeah, I think the other thing is, just to round this off, Chris, you're going to need to change your doctor and not go to them at the NUFC medical team. Just sort you out. That's the only way.
Exactly, yeah.
I know. I must have been with them, mustn't I? Yeah. Can't shake this cold.
Okay, I think it's time to move on.
Where is he?
and it's time to wheel out the man that we have sitting in the green room, and it's a world premiere of his introduction. So, are you ready, Keith? Here's your intro. I think he liked it. He's smiling. He's smiling. We've been expecting you, Mr. Roll. Here he comes. Hey, Keith, welcome.
That's amazing.
Although I do keep seeing that picture, and I just want him to bring me a bottle of wine.
Okay, Keith, thanks for joining us. I think this is your second time on the show on Loaded Mag, and we're going to go straight into it. I know you have actually. You can hear us first of all, yeah.
Yeah,
and we can, lovely, and we can hear you as well. Great. So let's talk about Sheffield United first, Keith, and with the games coming up, with Sheffield United and the Fulham game, we'll go to look at Sheffield United first, which is coming up on Wednesday, and yeah, that's the game that we're doing a bit. We're on Matchday Live. We're doing a bit of hosting for that one, a few of us, and yeah, what's their stats? What's the scores on this one, Keith?
So Newcastle against Sheffield United in the Premier League. They've played each other 11 times. Newcastle have a really good record against Sheffield United. They've played 11 times. They've won 8. They haven't drawn any, and they've lost 3 matches. Newcastle have won 5 of the last 6 competitive matches against Sheffield United. Sheffield United's last win at St James's Park was 1-0, and that you have to go back to November 2006 for that, when Danny Webber scored for the Blades. The last 0-0 draw at St James's Park was way back in 1925, so this game always produces goals. Steve Bruce, his record as a manager in games against Sheffield United also is quite good, actually.
This is working its way to a loss, isn't it?
Yeah.
But wait for this. Managed 11 games. He's won 7. He's drawn 2, and he's only lost 2 at this stage. And so he gets an average of about 2 points, a point or so a game against Sheffield United. Continuing on with the positivity, Joe Willock. We touched on it earlier there with Holly. Joe Willock scored in 5 successive games for Newcastle. And the last player to do this was Pat Cisse, when he scored in 6 successive matches back for Newcastle back in 2011-12. We'll remember that run, that phenomenal run.
No pressure, Joe Willock.
And so it'd be lovely if he continued on in the next game or so against Sheffield United and Fulham. And just rounding off the stats on Sheffield United. Sheffield United, as it stands, I know they're 1-0 up. They were 1-0 up with a few minutes to go against Everton there, but Sheffield United have got a better home record than away record. So at home they've won 4 and they've drawn 1 and lost 13. And their away record up until tonight, they'd only won 1 game, they've drawn 1 and lost 15 in the Premier League, with the last win coming against Man United. So, you know, there could be a potential for a banana skin there with Newcastle, but hopefully not. As I say, Newcastle have been playing really well, and I think Sheffield United haven't really been scoring goals in the last few games. So hopefully the run continues.
Cool.
Do you want to
Keith, no, we'll pause there for a second, Keith. Yourself, who do you think will take this one?
I'm thinking that this. I'm hopeful. Yeah, I think because of the last few games, that'll be Newcastle win, comfortable Newcastle win by a couple of goals at least. You know, I know that. Obviously the striker's out currently, which isn't great, but as I say, ASM's been playing well. Willock's been playing phenomenally well, and also as well, even Joe Linton in the last few games, he's picked up a bit of form. He's put himself about a bit, and Joe Willock again continuing with a bit of positivity. He's actually reached double figures in goals for Newcastle now. It's taken him 85 games, but he's reached 10 goals for Newcastle since he signed.
Jeez. Nice one. Cheers, Keith. Holly, I think we'll go straight into you next because I'm going to bring up Dave's question, and I know the answer already. Here's who's got tickets for Wednesday night? I think you have, Holly.
Yeah, I do. I tried so hard to get tickets. I was really annoyed because I've been a season ticket holder for years, and I do every away game. And then because I got a refund, the club was like, "Oh well, you can't enter the ballot," and I was fuming. But then they had a few spare level 7, and I got one, so I'm really, really happy because I can't wait to get back in the ground personally.
Yeah, for anybody
it was a video, Holly.
For anybody that's outside of our chat group, the language that came out of Miss Blade's mouth when she got her tickets, I tell you need your mouth washed out, the amount that came out of you. We were talking about this on Matchday Live, and I said, for those of us that don't live in the Northeast, those of us that have moved on and different bits and pieces, it is, there is a little bit of jealousy there because, people, we spoke on Matchday Live about people, I've had a few tweets and a couple of DMs, people going, same as the Amigos, is anybody organizing anything, for a protest? No, don't be stupid. Why would be? As Holly said, you just want to go. You want to go into St. James's. You want to sing your heart out. You're absolutely chuffed to be back in the ground. I would give anything to be in there on Wednesday night. And I'm totally jealous of the likes of Mr. Wraith and Holly and stuff. And I hope somebody is going to try and do a live. I know Steve is. He's going to try and do a live vid while he's in and link back in with us. But fair play to you. But yeah, it was cool. Holly's chat banter was very, very funny when she did get the tickets. Actually made my night with a bit of cursory on it. It was actually very funny.
I think Dave has asked the question because Dave has tickets to go, if I recall. Because I think Martin, you directed him to voice your opinion via Dave towards Steve Bruce.
I did. Yeah, he's gonna drop off a message to Steve Bruce for me.
Hand him a nice little love letter.
Do you know what?
Well, he's got a few, hasn't he? Got a few love letters.
I thought, Mark, you made a cracking point there. Do you know what? Wednesday, it's not the right time, and it may be the right place, but it's not the right time. This is all about the fans getting back in the stadium. I'm made up for Holly. I'm made up for Steve and everybody else who's getting to go to the match. And do you know what? We want our takeover. We're not happy with Bruce, but at the end of the day, we're staying in the Premier League for another season, and the takeover's still bubbling away. So I think just go, enjoy the match.
Look, there's a piece with Bruce, right? He won Manager of the Month. We've not lost in 10. We're safe in the league.
Yeah.
Does that gloss over the fact that we've only 5 wins in 25? No, absolutely not. Does it gloss over the fact that we don't want him as manager? Absolutely not. But now is not the time. If there's no takeover and we go into next season with Steve Bruce still in charge and Mike Ashley at the helm, that's the time when there's 52,000 back in St. James's Park and outside of it. That's the time to organise and to protest and do what Man United did, do what Chelsea did outside of the grounds, do what Arsenal did. That's the right thing to do. It wasn't great from a COVID perspective, but that's how you demonstrate, lads. That's how you protest, not the nonsense that we do. Everyone walk out after 15 minutes. Look, I'm not going to walk out of my seat. I'll protest outside. If I was there, I'd be game on for that. But once I'm in the ground and I've gone up those steps, for me, it's 100% behind the team. I don't care who the manager is or anything else. I support the 11 lads in a black and white shirt.
And do you know what, Mart? Oh, sorry, I was just going to say dead quick. Do you know what? Even if we go into next season and say the position is exactly as it is now, I wouldn't even protest Bruce out then, because we all know that Ashley's not going to get rid of Bruce while things are as they are. The only time we should actively try to get Bruce off the club is if, one, the takeover's happened and the owners are keeping him and we're basically telling the new owners get rid of him, or the takeover's off and Ashley's persistent with him. That's when we kick off. That's when we say we want him off the club. But if things are as they are right now, one, who's going to take it? And two, as Holly said earlier on a different show, there's nobody really better equipped than Steve Bruce to take this team forward as it is right now, because you're going to get someone who's going to take it, because who in the right mind would take this job knowing as soon as the new owners come in, they're going to go, thanks for the job, see you later. No one's going to take it.
That'll change if it doesn't happen, but again, it
will.
The next 2 games are not the time for that. Regroup, see what the summer brings, and then if it's the same situation next season, then look at all that. But as I said on the match day, is now is the time. These next 2 games, certainly the Sheffield United game, 10,000 in there. It's the time to show why PIF, the Rubens, and PCP want that club, and it's for the simple reason being of what potential it has and the fact that we're the greatest fans in the world. That's why they want it. They see the potential. They don't want Arsenal or Man United or anyone else. They want little old Newcastle United because of us. Because of the fan base, because of the city, and because of everything that we want for the club. So show them that we are the right choice when there's 10,000 in there, and stick up for the team and do the right thing. It's not the time to protest.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Mark. I thought it was quite interesting how on Talk Sport last week, how Bruce came out and called the fans again when he's on his chat with Jim White, and all of a sudden, as soon as he realised that there's going to be fans back in the ground. He was like, when it came to the Chronicle, when he had his, his interview before the match on Thursday, he's like, "Oh no, I was misinterpreted. It wasn't like that." And you think, yeah, you just realise you've got 10,000 fans going to be at the game on there.
Exactly. If he does by chance stay and he is in the ground next season, what he needs to do is have some etiquette lessons from other managers, the likes of Mourinho, the likes of Tuchel, the likes of Klopp, on how to conduct himself. Because, the one thing you don't do is say to 52,000 plus however many million around the world Newcastle fans, we have high expectations, because that's like throwing a grenade and pulling a pin. And he also needs to give up this whole, little spat with Craig Hope, because it makes him look like a dickhead. So cut the crap, manage the team. You got manager a month, and I said this on match day. Holly will back me up. I said on match day, I'll give Bruce credit for the 10 games. He deserved, based on the teams we played and the games we played in the month of April, he thoroughly deserves the manager of the month along with his backroom staff and Graham Jones. End of story. It doesn't, however, make up the full story for the full season, which is completely unacceptable. End of story.
I'll tell you what I found interesting about that picture, Daz, just before we move on. You put that picture back up with Steve Bruce, right? The last time we had a manager of the month was Rafa, and he only ever won it once. But on that one picture, he had every single member of his coaching team with him to celebrate the award, whereas Bruce didn't. It was all about him, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take it that everyone sees a Newcastle win against Sheffield United. Okay, we won't go around the house on that one. Grant, I just want to go, Martin, we're going. First of all, I want to say this, because I'll forget it otherwise. Thanks everyone for watching. Like and comment. And I know everybody in the chat has already subscribed. Anyone listening back on this on playback, hit that subscribe button. It would really help us. I think it's about 50-50. The people that watch this are subscribe and don't subscribe. So hit subscribe. It would really, really help us. And we'll go straight to the sponsors then. And Martin, tell us about Bruce In.
Bruce In, yes, the only Bruce in the Northeast we do like. Centre Rail, our continued sponsors for Loaded Mag. On the platform in Central Station, Bruce and the team there have a lovely little shop where they do a fine mix of craft beers, pale ales, IPAs, wines, gins, and other fine distilled pieces, along with some pretty cool stuff from beanie hats to lanyards to top range glasses with lovely time bridges and the number 9 on them for 9 ale through Brickhouse Brewery and crowds like that. So thanks to his continued sponsorship, he did manage. I was chatting with him last week. He's absolutely delighted with things. Hopefully he's seeing a bit more football. We're giving him loads of shout outs. So he did drop me a couple of texts to say he is listening to the shows. He does watch them, thinks they're great, and he's absolutely delighted to be sponsoring us. So big shout out to him and the rest of the team in Centre Rail. Thanks very much for your continued support.
Does he like that we say Bruce In?
He does. He's in. I'm on a different messenger group with a lot of the lads that I used to work with. Bruce is obviously one of those, and he must have been slightly worse for wear on Saturday night because he did manage to hit the group phone call and rang all of us. So yeah, that was quite funny because he wouldn't actually come on the chat that often. So he hit the ring button and woke up about 20 of us. So that was the little comedy stint from Bruce on Saturday. But yeah, it was very, very funny. But he loves it. And it is good. But if you're in the area, the likes of Holly, Keith, Rich, go in there. If you haven't been into Centre Ale, go in, have a look around. Some of the ales are absolutely brilliant. Some of the IPA stuff. And if you are of that nature, or you like that kind of thing, he's a huge range of vegan ales and some real good kind of mixed berries and all that other kind of stuff. So get in there and have a look. Right on the platform in Central Station. It's a massive, massive selection. One of the best craft beer shops around, for my liking.
Cool. Now we're going to go for our final game of the season next, because we're probably not going to have a time to run another loaded mag in between all the games and all the shows and everything. And I will talk more about the shows that are coming up at the end as well. So we're going to talk about, and we're going to go back to Keith again. We're going to talk about Fulham Newcastle, and of course, there's no Newcastle fans can attend this. There'll be, I suppose, 10,000 Fulham fans at this. There'll be no boat trip up to Craven Cottage or anything this time either. But Keith, you have some stats for us on Fulham.
Yeah, definitely got some stats. Yeah, a bit more mixed, these stats, in terms of the Premier League for Newcastle versus Fulham games, especially at Craven Cottage. Newcastle's Premier League record since 2001, they've played 27 times against Fulham. We've won 10. We've drawn 5 and we've lost 12, so slightly a bit more in favour of Fulham. Newcastle have won 4 of the last 10 competitive games against Fulham, and this fixture has produced 68 goals in the Premier League, both, and it's dead level for both. We both scored 34 each. The fixtures ended 0-0 twice at St James's in the Premier League, but there's never been a 0-0 draw at Craven Cottage, believe it or not. Steve Bruce, his record as a manager in games against Fulham, he's managed 27 games. He's won 8, he's drawn 11, and he's lost 8 games. Maybe that was a draw for that game. Fulham have got a better away record in the Premier League this season. They've won 3, they've drawn 8, and they've lost 7. The games away from home, and at home at this stage they've won 2, they've drawn 4, and they've lost 12 this season. And the home wins that came in the Premier League that came against West Brom and Sheffield United, the other teams in the bottom 3, so they've never beaten a team above any of the top sides in the at home this season. And Fulham's top scorers this season, Bobby Reid with 7, and Ademola Lookman 4. And Reid's last Premier League goal came against Liverpool in December, so a little bit of a drought there.
Cool. Cheers, Keith.
Long may it last.
Yeah, for me, this is. Yeah, it'll be trickier, but it's a Newcastle win as well. I always said that those last 2 games, I think Newcastle will win. I know things have changed for the better for us since then, without what we do, we're missing Wilson. But yeah, still I'm going to go for Newcastle winning that one.
Yeah, I am as well.
Anyone else want to say anything about Fulham?
Yeah, I'll happily take a repeat of 2 years ago, Rafa's last game in charge.
Yeah, I don't think we lose, but I think it'll be a draw or a win. I probably reserve judgment till I see the Sheff United game. Although now that Sheff United have beaten Everton, by the way, just to confirm anyone who doesn't know, Sheff United have beaten Everton tonight at Goodison Park 1-0. Sheff United will not be getting back-to-back wins, so I fully believe we'll be Sheff United. But I think it's the manner in how we beat them. If we absolutely steamroller them, I think we comfortably beat Fulham. If we just scrape it over the line, maybe Fulham will try and give us one back. I don't know, but yeah, my initial reaction at the moment is probably draw for the Fulham game.
Yeah, I'm probably the same. I think we beat Sheffield, but I think it's a draw against Fulham. And to be honest, I actually don't really care about either of them.
It's all about next season now. And the takeover was all about, actually. Sorry, Holly.
Sorry, Holly. Yeah.
I think we'll get 6 points out of the last 2 games, to be fair. I think Fulham will be the biggest win of the season. I'm not even joking. I'm going to predict like a 5-1. That's what I'm predicting. Right,
Holly will be back on Loaded Mag that night after the game.
Miserable.
No, honestly, though.
Doing some format of a forfeit.
It'll be like this, Holly, and we go, Holly, explain yourself.
Yeah.
Why wasn't 5-1?
No, Fulham have literally annoyed me this season, though. They've said Newcastle's like yo-yo club when they're literally describing themselves, so I don't know what they're going on about. And they're just rubbish, and like, I don't care. I just think we're going to absolutely smash them. I'm happy they're relegated, and I hope we just prove in the last game of the season why we are 10 times a better club than Fulham, right? So, like, bye-bye, enjoy the championship, stay there. But also, no disrespect to Sheffield United because I don't mind them, but I'm happy they're relegated too, simply for the fact that every time I'm on Twitter, right, on a Premier League feed, everyone always thinks I'm a Sheffield United fan because of my surname, and I'm just like, actually stop, like I've heard it 100 times, it's just annoying us.
But that's good though. Holly
yes.
is pissed off every Fulham fan in the world. Normally it's me that's annoying people on here. So yeah. That's why we like to bring her on a Loaded Mag. Yeah, I haven't annoyed anyone. Well, I probably have somewhere. Yeah. Okay. No, I agree. Do you know what? I'm actually pleased that Fulham have gone down. I really am, because I always remember the first game when we came back up, when we went down and we got beat 1-0, and they posted that picture of welcome back to the championship. So yeah, look, go down and enjoy it, Fulham. Won't miss you. Good luck.
You know what it is? They're so smug, man. They just need taking down a peg or two. I hope they're rot in the championship, man.
Okay. I think we'll start talking about what's coming up in the next little while. First of all, we have match day live. You okay, Holly?
Yeah, I'm just joking.
Holly's got the same problem as me.
Fulham fans are clapping in the background. Go on, peel over.
Okay, we've got we're hosting Match Day Live on Wednesday, Sheffield United game. We are, and we're also back on Friday then for Loaded Football Weekly. So the change of date from Wednesday to Friday. So anyone going to the match, don't worry, you'll get to see us live on Friday. We're going to have the drift in, and Richie, you're going to work on a few mystery guests for us for the old Loaded fan favorite as well. The Premier League 1 to 11. So that's coming up on Friday. If you missed last week's show, you can catch it on the channel. We had Garden Party and Sam Lambert then. We also have we will have our own in the season show as well. We don't know when we'll have it yet, but we will have a show at some point. We'll follow us and subscribe. And
Bruce is telling you just now what it is.
That's that. We'll have our own show, and then we're also a few of us are appearing at Aloyd's though. So I grabbed the video and said I'll do a bit of promotion from Aloyd. Yeah, I think it's on this Saturday.
Just say that if you had forgotten it.
Yeah. So
Saturday 22nd. Yeah, we're on all the NUFC matters, and Loaded lads and lasses are all on. On with LW Newcastle on a Saudi end of season show, which will be good.
Here it is.
Loads of us on.
Very dramatic, isn't it?
Very.
Lovely. Cool. Looking forward to that. That should be good with Aloyd and Nell. And Judy saying, don't annoy Holly, anybody. So that's it. Anything else anyone would like to say before we round off the night? And have I missed anything?
Keith, how do you see the game going? You can tell I'm out of sync. I'm not used to being on the show. That's what it is.
I know, yeah. We bring it back.
Back episode, isn't it, Chris?
What, sorry?
If you come back episode tonight, let's be gentle with Chris, everyone.
That's it, Keith. That's it. I get no TLC on here, Keith.
No, it doesn't deserve any, mate.
No.
Only we see the text we've been sending him over the last 2-3 weeks, making sure he's
Chris
okay.
anyway.
Oh, no, they've been great. You've been great.
Mark, it's not Chris anyway. We've just borrowed Dino for the night.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Okay, I think
this season's been good. Had it spells, but I think the thing for me is the likes of the shows that we've done, and I know Steve spoke about this, the Amigos and the rant and everything else. The one thing that has come out of this season, despite NUFC having an absolutely dire season, and we're still waiting for takeovers. The one good thing is we've all met each other. Everybody's found new friends. These shows have gone a long way to help people with their mental health, giving them something to watch, introduced us to a whole heap of people. And there's 4 lads in particular coming off the back of NUFC FC Matters, Daz, Rich, Chris and myself. We come on here and we do this for the hour or hour and 20 minutes, whatever we're on now, because we love chatting about the club. We love doing NUFC Matters. We love doing loaded football. So no matter what happens, COVID-wise or anything else, where we can and diaries allow and time allows with families, we're going to keep Loaded Mag going. And if the takeover happens, NUFC will take off. But we're going to keep it going because not everybody's going to be able to get to the games. Not everyone's going to do a wrap-up. Steve is going to get busier as things progress. So we will definitely be keeping Loaded Football and Loaded Mag going. So we'll be here for people on a Wednesday and a Friday, putting these shows out, and hopefully you keep joining us. Hit the channel and sub, and we'll keep it going for you.
Exactly, right. And there'll be more to come as well. There's a few.
There is more to come.
We haven't had a plan for a while, but there's a few ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll say goodbye to everyone. We'll thank Keith for coming on, and thanks for bringing the stats, Keith. Double O Stato, and thanks Holly the Blade for coming on and sharing your problems with Fulham and Sheffield United fans. But always a pleasure, Holly, and enjoy the game on Wednesday. We won't be talking to you. Enjoy the game.
Send us a couple of pictures. Send us a couple of pictures,
cool.
please. Inside the ground, yeah.
So, and
especially one of you
for watching.
Selfie you doing that to Bruce, please, would be great.
Will do. Good luck hosting, Daz, by the way.
Oh, cheers, Ali. Cheers. We'll be grand. I'll have a bit of help. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
No worries. Welcome back, Chris. Nice to have you back later.
Cheers, guys.
Nice.
See you later, folks. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.